Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our latest episode of the Growth Playbook with myself, Kim Clark, and my dad, Alan Beaulieu. Today, we're going to be talking rare earth, which I'm told by you, Dad, was a band back in the day.
Yes,
Is
yes.
that what we're talking about today, or is this something different?
Well, if I break into song about I just want to celebrate another day of living is because I've gone back in time. But we'll probably talk about something else.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Everybody's kind of heard. I think everybody's kind of heard of rare earth, but I decided to do a little deeper digging and looking around about it because I know it's extremely important, and I've known for decades from an old client uh, that it is indeed rare. It's not just called that; it's rare. So. The Strait of Hormuz is a choke point, right, for oil, and it's got the economies of the world going, what's going on, and people are distressed, and it's just caused a lot of ripples and a lot of impact. This has a potential for doing exactly the same thing, only instead of Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz, it's China who controls rare earth. And that may sound like an exaggeration, so I want to give you some facts. And this comes from the International Energy Administration that the largest known reserves of rare earth in the world are found in China. They have control of in reserves 48.9% of rare earth in the world. Now that doesn't, we're Americans. We well, if it's not a supermajority, it doesn't count. The next closest is Brazil at 23.3, which I knew. Then it really falls down. You have a smidgen in India, Australia, Russia, Vietnam, and then the United States. Canada has some, but it didn't make the list because Canada is not doing anything with it. So the point is, that's a large share of reserves. Um, and we rely in the United States, we rely 70% of the imports of rare earth into this country come from China. Now, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to that, but maybe it would help to know where we use rare earth materials, okay? Because I think that might give people a sense of understanding. And where it's used is in electronics, and that's broad enough for people to go, oh, the heck is that? Well, electronics is everything from hard drives to headphones. I mean, it's everything we use, needs some of that. So it's a big deal. And then it's also used in renewable energy. There's this big push to renewable energy. So wind turbines and electric vehicles use a lot of rare earth. So the more that people say we should drive electric vehicles, which I'm not for or against. That's just, there's this big raw. It just says, all right, we're more dependent upon Brazil, which is not always a friend, and China, which is, friend. Uh, you know, it's, and the president is against wind power, but the next one may be in favor of it. After that, we get to special magnets, which are used in the things we've talked about already. Defense, very important. Medical, which obviously matters to us. Catalyst in petroleum refinery. LED lights, which we're all using. So it's kind of permeated throughout the higher tech part of. So if we don't get rare earth material and we don't get chips out of Taiwan, our defense industry feels it. We're weakened as a nation. So if China decides, all right, you put on one too many tariffs, folks, we're going to put an export tariff on this, or we're just going to restrict how much we'll ship because we do that and they do that too. We'll say that's a national security thing. We're not shipping as much to you of that as we used to. They can do the same thing. And all of a sudden, price of rare earth goes up. And that means price goes up in all these industries, which means we have added inflation, which is a risk, significant risk to the economy because we handed the keys to the kingdom to there. We could develop more in this country, which is the opportunity. There are known deposits of rare earth in this country. There are very large deposits in Canada, eastern side. I think it's the Ontario province, but there's a problem there. It's very environmentally unfriendly. So we'd have to have the EPA go like this. We'd have to have environmentalists go like this, and we'd have to have people go ahead and spoil my backyard, uh, which is why we're perfectly happy to have it in China and Brazil, far enough away so that it doesn't mess us with our environmental track record. Uh, have I described a confusing mess?
Well, I think it's the general situation in which we live at the moment.
Yeah. And what are we going to do about it is sooner or later we're going to have to find alternatives, which I know of none. Now, there are alternatives to lithium batteries that the Pentagon's working on, that sort of stuff. But for things we're talking about today, means domestic development and development among our more friendly allies like Australia, if they could develop more and such. But even having it mined doesn't make it produce. So there's a whole lot of work. My point in all that is it takes a long time. So for the next few years, we are at risk. And with a growing, unstable world, I think the at risk should be capitalized. And what do you do with that? Well, you can talk to your investment advisor is how do I protect myself against this? Is there an investment opportunity here? You can also say to yourself, maybe I should be looking at those companies that will be involved in rare earth mining and production in this country and start seeing how I can do business with them because it may be a small part of my business right now, but it could quickly become a really important part of your business. But you got in early, you've locked in the client, hopefully locked in the client because you're a good provider and supplier and you do things that they need and they depend upon you. So that'd be a nice protection in the 2030s if you spend the next 3 years building up a relationship in this field. Doesn't you don't want it to be the major party business, but if this explodes, probably shouldn't say that literally, but if it explodes, you're there. Bang, you've protected yourself. And you've done a wonderful thing just by betting a few chips into domestic Canadian, Australian rare earth potential, or Brazilian if you feel like it. So, besides rare earth, which is only part of it, I just want to quickly mention, and I promise I won't take long, gallium. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Most people haven't. 99% of the global mining and production of gallium comes from China. That's used in semiconductors, anything that's LED, solar cells, and medical. They control 95% of the mining and production of magnesium, aircraft, spacecraft, automobiles, electronics, tungsten, electronics, manufacturing, aerospace, defense. So everything I said about rare earth now applies to gallium, magnesium, tungsten. You can go on to graphite, iridium. And the last one on this list, by the way, which made me laugh, is antimony, which antimony, which sounds like it's the opposite of matrimony, but
Yeah.
it's I have no idea what it does. I didn't
I was
bother.
like, where does that one
I
go?
don't I don't know. So let's take the previous point and go, okay, so how can I take advantage of the fact that there's this Strait of Hormuz for these minerals and be there in case something happens? Again, don't bet big, but start thinking and start planning and start moving to see if there's a way for you to not creep up on it, but just make a cautious foray into that area so that you're a known entity in case that time comes, but not so that it's a big shiny object that takes you off your path.
Hmm.
That makes sense to you? Did I say that all right?
Yeah, no, I think you said that very well. And I think it also goes back to what you and I have talked about in the past of also scenario planning. So trying to make the allies and friendships, the relationships, everything that you're saying, but also the revert, the flip side of that coin of what does my day-to-day look like if
Hmm.
XYZ happens.
Yeah, exactly. So opportunity, I think there's opportunity here. Risk, I think there's for the United States, a significant risk that some people talk about because I know some people who talk about it, but for the most part in business, have you heard a lot of people talk about this risk to our economy and defense and in like, renewable energy and all the rest of that? I haven't.
No, I'm like the crazy lady that keeps bringing it up to them. I'm like, it's like you need to pay attention to this and at least have a plan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. So, anyways, that's it. I just wanted to bring up the risk and opportunity in an area that most people haven't shown that put a flashlight on yet.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm sure our audience does too, because these are the types of insights that we are dedicated to bringing to the forward facing out to the public via this podcast. It's one of the reasons why we started it almost a year ago now. We're coming up on a year.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
cool. And we do it because we care.
Exactly. We care. We want people to make data-informed decisions and just to be aware of what's going on so that way you can prepare as needed. You and I both believe that there's opportunities to be had even through adversity and challenges. So just being aware of what those are, that way you can set the course appropriately.
Well said. Well said, daughter.
Thank you. Well, thanks for bringing this topic up for us today, and I look forward to next week, where I think next week we're diving into AI, right?
We are. A
So that's
different twist on AI, I might add.
I'm looking forward to hearing all about it as I have my Claude machine running over here getting other work for me done.
Yeah. Can it listen while you're doing this? Because if it is, you don't want it listening. Okay.
I don't know, but maybe.
Well, you'll find out.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Well, thank you for bringing this to our show today, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Bye, Dan.
Bye, Kim.